I don't think it's only celebrities going to be shook. He had politicians in there. He had princes in there. He also had a couple of preachers in there.
You personally, you think they got tapes?
Well, my personal opinion that if Lil Rob could be trusted and his statements are true, they got him. They got tapes of stuff.
Now, if Diddy had tapes, the feds have them. That's a lot of blackmail.
Last night, Diddy was arrested following the human trafficking investigation. And this video popped up as a reminder of what his former bodyguard said. Now, this is Gene Deal, and he stated that Diddy probably has tapes of politicians, princes, and even preachers engaging in his parties. Now, this is close to election season. Okay, I'm just putting some stuff in your mind. This is close to well, we're in election season. I'm sorry. We're in election season. We have a lot of fact checking coming out about Kamala Harris, and then boom, this story hits. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Now, this obviously isn't a story that just popped up. This is something that's been ongoing. However, we're questioning the timing of it. Obviously, it could be coincidence and things of that nature, but with the way that this world is working, I don't know. Somebody said, no, now would be a good time to bring those tapes out. But the feds have them, you know, the feds probably, I don't know. Somebody said they tried to sneak this by everyone with all the attention on the attempt on Trump's life. Well, I said the whole Kamala fact-checking thing, but yes, Trump's life right here, boom. So it's a distraction to all the stuff that's going on right now. Where's the list on Epstein's Island? Somebody said, I wonder if he was involved with the missing immigrant kids. Like, yeah, you're starting to get a lot of people, you know, giving their opinions surrounding this situation with Diddy. Now, I haven't even seen this clip. It's CNN though. It says he's an imperfect person, but not a criminal. His attorney tells me, stating he believes the U.S. Attorney's Office is pursuing an unjust prosecution. Let's go and check this clip out.
This is CNN Breaking News.
We'll be back to the table in just a moment, but first, some breaking news tonight. Sean Diddy Combs has been arrested in a Manhattan hotel this evening after a grand jury indicted the music mogul. His attorney tells CNN that he is currently being processed. The charges are unclear as of this moment. Joining us now is CNN's entertainment reporter Elizabeth Wagmeister, and also with us, CNN chief legal correspondent Ellie Honig. Elizabeth, you were a big part of revealing some details about Diddy's conduct in private over the course of the last couple of months. That video led to a lot more scrutiny on what he has been accused of. What do we know at this point about what this case might ultimately be about?
Abby, at the moment, we don't know what the charges are. I have information that he was arrested tonight at a Manhattan hotel. He is currently being processed. I heard from his attorney, they are still maintaining his innocence. They said that in anticipation of these charges that Diddy relocated to New York last week. And here's a statement that I have from his attorney. He says, "We are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs by the U.S. Attorney's Office." He goes on to say that he is an imperfect person, but is not criminal. Now, Abby, that video that you just spoke about was a few months ago when our team broke this disturbing video of Diddy violently assaulting his ex-girlfriend.
I'm sorry, but I can't represent a man. Well, I can't utter the words, he's not criminal. And I can't represent a man after watching this video. This is hard evidence. I don't care what type of, remorse you feel after you get caught or none of that. I can't take. Watching this video lets me know that this isn't the first time. This video lets me know that this has happened before. You know what I mean? In addition to that, it's letting me know that this is a behavior that you're used to. Nah, man. Talking about, I'm only saying this because they talking to the attorney says he may be imperfect but not criminal. What? Yes, he is very much so criminal, man. Stop all that.
stage name Cassie. Now, up until this point, when we broke this video, Diddy had denied the allegations against him. Cassie is one of 10 civil suits against Diddy, 9 of which he is accused directly of sexually assault. Up until that video, he denied everything. After that video came out, he changed his tone. He apologized for his conduct in that video. But I have to tell you, Abby, just as of last week, a former member of Danity Kane, which was one of the bands from Making the Band, Diddy's show that was on MTV, she sued him for sexual assault and other disturbing allegations, and he denied that. So he continues the denials, and he still maintains his innocence, even though he has been arrested tonight.
And Ellie, not a huge amount of information available tonight, but Elizabeth brought up something that I want you to give us a little bit of insight into. Diddy is here in New York, in Manhattan. He apparently came here in anticipation that something like this might happen. What should we understand about what that might mean? It could very well be that this is a federal arrest being processed here in New York.
So, Abby, there are some important things we do not know, including the specific charges that have been lodged against Sean Combs. But there are some really important things we do know. First of all, based on the attorney's statement, based on our reporting, this is a federal prosecution. It's not a state prosecution. The fact that he's being processed in Manhattan tells me that's the Southern District of New York. That's consistent with the reporting that the Southern District of New York had been handling this case. That's the office I used to work at. That's an office that sort of specializes in high stakes cases. Just in the last year or so, Southern District of New York, just as an example, has successfully prosecuted Sam Bankman-Fried, Senator Robert Menendez. The other thing that we do know is a grand jury has indicted Sean Combs, meaning they found probable cause that he committed at least one federal crime. Now, as to what happens next, there will be, likely tomorrow or within the next couple of days, but usually in the SDNY, you try to do it the next day, there will be an arraignment, meaning Sean Combs will appear in court with his lawyers. There are no cameras in federal court. He will be advised of the charges against him, and he will almost certainly enter a not guilty plea. But the key thing to watch for is then we'll have the question of bail. Will prosecutors agree to let him out on bail? Will prosecutors ask the judge to lock him up pending trial? That could end up in a contentious argument. So these are things that are going to play out over the next 24 or 48 hours. And finally, Abby, with respect to the charges themselves, it's important to note, we've all seen that video, but assault and sexual assault are not federal crimes. Those are prosecuted in state court. So what I expect to see when we see this indictment is some sort of crime with some element of organization to it, sex trafficking, something along those lines, if it's based on some of the allegations we've heard.
And of course, back in March, his homes in LA and in Miami were raided. All of this leading up to this moment. Elizabeth and Ellie, a lot more to this story will be coming up in the coming days.
I'm just saying, man. We know that Diddy was on Epstein's, he was on the Epstein list, you know? And for me, man, we still got to wait to hear everything that comes out. We got to get him in trial, but I don't condone none of that, man. None of that. I don't rock with any of that type of behavior. Trafficking in humans, kids, adult or kid, it don't matter. It's just horrible behavior, man. It's animalistic. How can somebody get away with something like this for so long? You know what I'm saying? And of course, like they said, this is on the federal level. This ain't even on the state level. You know, we even have the video of the federal raid. And yeah, we should go ahead and check that out. But yeah, another one bites the dust, yo. Even though, you know, the narrative about don't trust the FBI, everything they investigate results in a massive cover up. You know, so there's the element there to expect this not to be anything different. But that's just that. But let me see. He about to commit unaliving by next Friday, someone says. But let's go ahead and check out this raid video, see the moment everything took place.
On scene here that we're getting this information from. We were actually the first ones here with about 30 different law enforcement vehicles at least. There are 3 Bearcats on scene here. This just all unfolded, Sandra, I would say less than 10 minutes ago. We got here even before the crime scene tape came up. So we're just down the hill. If you look up this street where Tony is right now to the right, you'll see one of those Bearcats, and law enforcement. And on the other side of those bushes, basically, is that home that is registered to Bad Boy Films, which is part of Bad Boy Entertainment. And the home in particular is registered not only to Bad Boy Films, but to one of P. Diddy's daughters.
They are heavily armed, and they've been very tactful, would probably be the best word to use, as they made entry into this home this afternoon. We actually watched them as they made their way through one of these side gates, and as soon as they got inside the home, one of the first things they did was made their way into this garage that you see is open right there. Now, they did take a couple people into custody. We witnessed that. Now, are they under arrest? Are they just being asked about what they know? That I can't answer, but I can tell you there's 3 people right there that were taken into custody, were inside that home at the time of the raid.
We did see a bunch of investigators going in, making the raid in there and clearing that as well. So they're going to do a thorough search as they conduct this raid. And so far, Stu, from what I understand and from Haley on the ground there, they have not seen, and we have not seen from our vantage point, any sign of Sean Combs, the 54-year-old who is believed to be the property owner of this.
Now, just then, they're saying this is hot off the press from Ariel on Twitter. I'm reading this exactly how he wrote it. As I told you all before, P. Diddy was not the target of this investigation. He was a subject, meaning they are looking into an entire system of businesses, associates, allies, accomplices. I'm sorry. Ooh, okay. Brain fart. Look at me, my dumb butt. I was okay. Accomplices, victims, partners, beneficiaries, etc. Because he is liable for RICO charges. So please do not focus on this one individual. This is about an entire international network. And this press conference just reaffirmed this. You all need to watch this. Now, this is almost 20-minute clip, but we're going to play about 5 minutes of it.
Today, I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice. Let me say a little bit more about the charges. The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways. As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs, and that Combs hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims, at times by their hair. On one occasion in March of 2016, that conduct was captured on video and later reported in the media. Specifically, Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a victim in a Los Angeles hotel when the victim was attempting to flee. As alleged, these assaults often resulted in injuries to the victims, which took days or weeks to heal. In addition to the violence, the indictment alleges that Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims. And the indictment alleges that he maintained control over the victims in several ways, including by giving them drugs, by giving and threatening to take away financial support or housing.
And the attorney said not criminal. Wow. Now, I do know that we got to wait for a court, but with the people's testimonies that's been coming out against him, man, I'm gonna just put it out there now. I believe that he's involved in this stuff, okay? Just based off of the testimonies, really Cassie put the nail in the coffin for me. So I'm just letting y'all know what side of the fence I'm on with it right now. We gonna find out in the end, but
by promising them career opportunities, by monitoring their whereabouts, and even by dictating their physical appearance. Because of all of this, the indictment alleges that the victims did not believe they could refuse Combs without risking their security or facing more abuse. The indictment also alleges other acts of violence undertaken by Combs and others, including violence against witnesses to his abuse, kidnapping, and arson. The indictment alleges that on more than one occasion, Combs carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten victims and witnesses. Now, Combs did not do this all on his own. As I mentioned, Combs has been charged with RICO conspiracy. He used his business and employees of that business and other close associates to get his way. Those individuals allegedly included high-ranking supervisors in the business, personal assistants, security staff, and household staff. The indictment alleges that those individuals facilitated the freak-offs. They booked the hotel rooms and stocked them with the supplies, including drugs, baby oil, personal lubricant, extra linens, and lighting. When the hotel rooms got damaged, they helped clean it up. They arranged for victims and commercial sex workers to travel for the freak-offs, and they delivered large quantities of cash to Combs to pay for the commercial sex workers. The indictment also alleges that they helped Combs cover up his crimes. During the March 2016 incident at the LA hotel that I mentioned earlier, a member of the hotel security staff intervened, and Combs attempted to bribe the staff member with a stack of cash to make sure that what happened was kept quiet. And as the indictment alleges, in late 2023, after public allegations were made about Combs' crimes, he and others pressured witnesses and victims to stay silent, including by...
A lot of this information is still developing, everybody. And like I told y'all, this that video is well over 20 minutes, and what we know right now is Diddy faces charges including racketeering, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. I don't know how you say this word. And transportation for prostitution. These charges stem from a broader investigation into sex trafficking, which included raids on his properties in Los Angeles and Miami. The indictment, which was unsealed today, September 17, 2024, accuses Combs of leading a criminal enterprise that used his business empire to facilitate sex trafficking, forced labor, and other criminal activities. This included drugs, physical violence, recordings. Yeah. And then, of course, his attorney, his response is that Combs is innocent of these charges and he believes the prosecution is unjust. The arrest follows a series of lawsuits against Combs, including allegations of sexual assault, which contributed to the federal investigation. Notably, the investigation involved claims of Combs using his influence and resources to coerce women into sexual acts, often under the guise of romantic relationships or professional opportunities. Yeah, of course, man, he's been taken into federal custody in New York, and his legal team is preparing to contest the charges. But